This is BRICS Africa channel, in conversation with the CEO of AIDC, Mr. Andile Africa. Good morning.
Good morning, Prof.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
South Africa has endorsed BRICS 2024 Kazan Declaration on Fair Development and Security, which includes calls actually for greener industrialization shared in the new energy vehicles value chains. How does the new Energy Value Chain Summit 2025 position Gauteng and South Africa as a continental hub for green mobility manufacturing within BRICS framework?
Yes, thank you very much, Prof. The New Energy Summit 2025 will position Gauteng in particular as a destination for investment for new energy vehicles. In fact, we already are a player. The BMW X3 plug-in hybrid is produced less than 3 kilometers from where we're sitting now at BMW in Roslyn. The Ford Motor Company in Silverton here in Tshwane produces also the hybrid of the Ford Ranger. So we already are positioned as Gauteng. We're already players in the new energy vehicle market. We are looking to attract new investors in this space, particularly Chinese brands, to localize manufacturing of new energy vehicles, particularly battery electric vehicles in Gauteng.
So in fact, you're speaking of an entire value chain.
Right. So what I'm saying is that the value chain and the ecosystem of vehicle manufacturing exists already in Gauteng, and we will be aiming to highlight our readiness as Gauteng to host manufacturers of new electric vehicles. The premises where you're sitting now, which is the Automotive Supplier Park, owned by run by the AIDC in Gauteng, hosts about 16 manufacturers, 22 factories under roof, where different components and systems are already manufactured here. So the idea of the New Energy Vehicle Summit is to show our readiness and also attract or attempt to attract new investors into localizing new energy vehicles manufacturing.
Okay, thank you. The GGDA and the AIDC are the intersection of industrial policy and investment attraction. How are you translating South Africa's Automotive Master Plan 2035 targets into the bankable NEV manufacturing projects that international investors can act on today?
Yeah, so the Automotive Industry Master Plan 2035 has a number of pillars that it looks at. One of them is localization. Yeah. So currently, the auto industry in South Africa is sitting at around 39% local content, meaning 39% of the vehicles, of the parts produced in the vehicle are made locally here. The aim of the master plan, or the target in the master plan, is that we want to sit at 60% localization by 2035. The reality is that we have not moved fast enough. In the past 3 to 5 years, we've been sitting at around 40%, between 35 and 40%.
Yes.
We believe that by attracting particularly Chinese and Indian brands into our local market, we have a chance to actually increase this and accelerate the localization of parts or of these brands towards the 60%.
Yes.
Yeah. The other pillar of the master plan is the issue of training. The place where we're sitting now is what we call the TTC, Trade Test Center. Part of our role as AIDC is to train youngsters towards specifically in skills required in the automotive industry, relevant to the automotive industry. What we are doing also is that in October next month, in 2 months' time, we'll be launching the Center of Excellence, which is aimed at looking at training youngsters on new energy vehicles and new technologies, and also in things like robotics, which is the future. In fact, it's already the present in the auto industry, because automation and robotics are intrinsic parts of the automotive value chain as we speak now. So,
Yes.
yeah, part of the training or skills development is train youngsters towards skills that are relevant in the auto industry.
Okay.
So that's part of the automotive master plan, and that's part of what we're doing as AIDC.
Quite on point, because partners or potential partners, as you mentioned, they are the masters in this game of new energy vehicles.
Yes.
You mentioned India, you mentioned China, especially China. But also the genius in the whole thing is that you are also opening a room that will be able to be accessed by the youth. But in terms of traction, in terms of value add, of fast tracking the whole development and technology exchange, what part of regulation that maybe serves as a bottleneck that doesn't enable you to go fast as possible, both in terms of markets, in terms of partnerships, and in terms of youth development?
Yeah.
Is there specific regulation that holds you back?
So what we found globally, particularly in places such as Thailand, for example, is that the Thai government has come up with a very detailed incentive scheme or incentive program
Yes.
that incentivizes ownership of electric vehicles or new energy vehicles.
Yes.
One, but also incentivizes in terms of manufacturing and assembly of electric vehicles. So they've got a very detailed policy and incentive scheme that details that actually incentivizes manufacturers to come into Thailand.
Yes.
And so we would like as AIDC and other players in the market to be policy advocates towards some incentive program,
Yes.
a detailed incentive program that will incentivize investors to come into South Africa,
Yes.
but also that will incentivize the buyer, the end user,
Yes.
to actually buy electric vehicles as opposed to an internal combustion engine vehicle.
All well and good, but what about those who say that we are letting our markets to be invaded? Who look at, if we have those partnerships, then the level of development locally will be slower, and the markets will be actually be controlled by our investor partners.
So as I said, our target is to increase localization.
Okay.
Right. So as I've said, we're sitting at 39% now. Our aim is to eventually end up at around 60% localization. What's interesting about, and I'm going to use Thailand again as an example.
Exactly.
Thailand does not have their own Thai vehicle particularly, but they actually produce mainly Japanese and other OEMs from other countries. However, what they've got unique is that they've got up to 90% localization. So it creates employment. It's highly skilled jobs.
Yes.
And it also is supported by a very strong R&D, research and development wing to it. So I'm not concerned about getting foreign investors. The only concern I would have is the level of localization. Yeah, and that's what we are trying to drive, is to increase localization. We can have technology from outside, but the production must be done locally. And particularly the one unique thing we have as Africa, as a continent, is that we're blessed with the minerals that go into a lot of these vehicles. I'm talking about, for example, simple thing like iron ore.
Yes.
Iron ore, the biggest part of the car is steel. And the basic ingredient of steel is iron ore. And we have plenty of that here in Southern Africa. The basic ingredients that go into a battery, for example, which is what the future of automotive is about, most of those minerals come from locally here in Africa. The difference that we would like to make going forward is that we want to beneficiate those minerals locally here, and not export them raw and buy them back as a processed components or raw material.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about innovation and technology. China leads in solid state batteries, India in affordable e mobility, Brazil in biofuel hybrids, Russia in nuclear linked power tech. How will the summit showcase this cross pollination of these BRICS nations?
Yes, one of there's two things that I think I would like to talk about in terms of innovation. One of the things that we've seen a big boom in South Africa has been what we call micromobility.
Yes.
Micromobility basically is scooters.
Yes.
Yeah, and particularly the last mile. So you take a lot, your Uber Eats, and so forth, and that proliferation in the micromobility presents an opportunity for us to actually start to also localize and build locally built or developed solutions. There are some companies, for example, there's a company called Meloven. The Meloven is based in Stellenbosch. They produce a fully electric, 100% South African designed and manufactured three-wheeler. And companies such as Spa already are using these for local deliveries. There's another company called Green Scooters, also 100% South African innovation, also fully battery operated scooter, developed here in South Africa. So we're looking at developing and growing that micromobility space in South Africa. The other, as I mentioned before, I think a very unique part to all the countries that you've mentioned, China,
Yes.
Brazil, and India, and so forth, is that we are well endowed with with minerals, especially precious metals. So we need to leverage, and part of what we will be discussing at the summit is how do we leverage our endowment of these with these PGMs in South Africa.
Well, on that point, combining all these technologies that are within the BRICS member states, what African innovations you see that we can fast track in adopting the new energy vehicles?
Yes, as I mentioned, one of the things, and I'm going to go back again to micromobility. Scooters are very well used in the African continent. In some countries such as Kenya, for example, scooters are actually used as taxis. So there's an opportunity for us to cut ourselves that niche market, to manufacture locally scooters that we can export, and particularly electrically driven scooters. So I think that's one area that we can leverage on, given the use of micromobility in the rest of Africa.
Yes. Although you've touched on this point, but let's take it to a higher level.
Sure.
With all the event feature African developed solutions in battery recycling, AI driven vehicles, diagnostics, and smart grid and EV integration that BRICS could scale. Is the presence of BRICS making that faster for us, or could we go it alone?
Yeah. So we've partnered with the CSIR in this conference.
Yes.
And in the summit. And the CSIR is our research body in South Africa. And we've conducted a number of interventions with the CSIR particularly on the electric vehicles or the new energy vehicles.
Yeah.
There's a number of other innovative ideas. For example, the use of LPG, liquid petroleum gas, is another way of it's another form of new energy vehicles. So that's why we've actually coined our summit New Energy as opposed to Electric Vehicle Summit.
Exactly.
Because it's not only electric that is a solution to the reduction of carbon emissions.
Yes.
There are other forms of energy, such as LPG, for example. Particularly in trucking, we can use other technologies such as CNG,
Yes.
which is compressed natural gas, to actually power this. The idea of new energy is the reduction of carbon emissions. Right. That's really the whole point of
Yes.
moving from diesel or petrol driven vehicles.
Yes.
Is to improve, is to clean up the environment and move towards lesser carbon emissions.
Yes.
And so there are solutions in South Africa.
Yes.
South African innovations in the areas of CNG, LPG, and battery
Okay.
manufacturing.
Any global NEV investors look for global new energy vehicles investors look for regulatory certainty. What the NNV import tariffs, tax, credits, and localization requirements are being negotiated to de-risk entry into South African markets and continental markets.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, there's been a number of white papers that were published and regulations that were published by both the Minister of DTIC, Minister Pakistan, and even his predecessor, and also the Minister of Finance,
Yes.
Minister Kodongwan. Our feeling is that these regulations have been helpful, have been helpful, but particularly on the manufacturing side. But where the sort of vagueness and we need more certainty and more details in terms of policy is on the end user, so that the end user is incentivized to actually move from an internal combustion engine vehicle to a new energy vehicle. There needs to be some kind of incentive to the end user. Currently, the new energy vehicles or electric vehicles are more expensive than the petrol or diesel-driven vehicles. And so a policy regime or an incentive regime would assist if you can incentivize the end user to move from an ICE vehicle to a new energy vehicle.
Okay. Given the BRICS stated support for regulation and harmonization, are you engaging with the AFTA bodies on harmonizing the new energy vehicle standards, charging protocols, and incentives across African markets?
Yeah. So there is there's been a bit of a challenge across the the continent in terms of harmonization of policy and protocols. For example, in other African countries, it's totally legal to import second-hand vehicles. In South Africa, our regulations are such that you can't import second-hand vehicles into the market. So part of the engagements that we're having through AAAM, which is the Africa Automotive Association of Manufacturers, is to actually engage with the other countries to start to harmonize policy. Because if we're going to promote localization, then we need to protect our markets by stop the dumping of second-hand vehicles into the South African market, and so or into the African market. South Africa is quite advanced in that respect. There's been some huge policy changes in countries like Nigeria. Morocco, for example, has moved quite fast. They are actually very close to South Africa in terms of vehicles that are produced or assembled in Morocco. So there's conversations through AAAM to start to harmonize policies across African continent.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the point of sustainability and social impact. BRICS policy documents consistently stress just transition. How will the New Energy Vehicle Summit show evidence that South Africa's NEV boom will also protect jobs, reskill workers, and open opportunities for township and rural youth?
Yes. So the interesting thing is that, as I've said, in October, we will be launching our Center of Excellence. Part of what we will be teaching at the Center of Excellence is conversion of mechanics, meaning petrol and diesel mechanics, from that to EV, mechanics. So in this building that we're sitting at now, we will be training youngsters, converting them from traditional mechanics into electric vehicle mechanics. So that's one intervention in terms of ensuring job retention and ensuring lack of job losses. But also incrementally, we are looking at also attracting unemployed youths into the center to start to teach them on EV technology. Not only that, we also have some courses on artificial intelligence. And what do I mean by artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence in our context means, for example, quality control. So traditionally, in a production line, if you're producing, for example, a metal part, you would rely on an inspector to look at the part and see whether it's the right quality or not. Now we are introducing, for example, the camera technology, where a camera would look at the part and decide whether it's a reject or not. So there's a couple of application of artificial intelligence in the manufacturing processes. Those are some of the things that we will be teaching or teaching youngsters on in the Center of Excellence. Center of Excellence. So yeah, we are very big on the reskilling agenda.
Yes. Mr. Africa, may you outline how the sector integrates new renewable energy generation, circular economy principles, and carbon reduction targets into the new energy vehicle productions and usage models directly supporting South Africa's net zero commitments?
Yes. So I mentioned earlier on that we in this premises here we've got about 22 factories that we're running, and we've been getting a lot of pressure from the OEMs that we support to say that there is no point in producing a zero-emission vehicles using dirty energy, so to speak.
Exactly.
So what I mean by that is that the lights that you see here, the power that powers these 22 factories that I'm talking about is currently coal-based.
Yes.
Right? So what are we doing about that? We are investing, and we will be investing in rooftop solar to clean up our energy mix in the park here. Same thing at Tazes. We're also looking at using rooftop solar with battery storage to clean up our energy mix. The drive throughout the automotive value chain, from components manufacturing to vehicle assembly, even our dealership network, is that throughout that value chain, we need to be using a cleaner energy, and we are well on our way towards doing that.
Thank you very much. Finally, for an investor deciding between attending the industry expos in Shanghai, Mumbai, or Sao Paulo, what is your single most compelling reason they should come to South Africa's New Energy Vehicle Summit on 2025 and not miss what's happening here?
Africa is the future. And I'm going to say that again, Africa is the future. We need a lot of the markets that you've mentioned are almost getting to a saturation point. They're getting to a tertiary level.
Yes.
Africa is sort of virgin ground, and there's a lot of development that are happening that needs to that the world can benefit from the African market. We have the youngest population in the world as Africa, and so the uptake of new technology and new ideas is far more quicker than elsewhere in the world.
Yes.
So come to Africa. We are ready, and we are the future of renewable energy technology.
Mr. Andile Africa, CEO of the AIDC, thank you very much for these enlightening points. We've learned a lot today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.